The Impossible Challenge. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened without warning. Commander Rachel Torres received the summons at 3 a.m. Earth time, pulled from sleep by an urgent message that offered no explanation. She arrived at the orbital station still shaking off exhaustion, her uniform hastily pressed, dark hair tied back in a regulation bun. The council chamber was already filled with representatives from 40 different species. Rachel recognized most of them. The Krallics with their crystalline bodies that refracted light in unsettling patterns. The Vormund, towering beings whose skin shifted colors with their emotions. The Setharii, small and quick, with 6 limbs and calculating eyes. All of them were talking in hushed tones, their translators creating a low buzz of overlapping conversations. Rachel took her seat in the human delegation area. Her aide, a young diplomatic officer named James Park, leaned close and whispered urgently. "Commander, we've been gathering intelligence. This is about the Xylothians. Their situation has become critical." Rachel felt her stomach tighten. She knew about the Xylothians. Everyone in the galaxy knew. Their home world, Xyloth Prime, had been purchased by the Meridian Corporation 6 months ago. The corporation specialized in deep core mining, extracting rare elements from planetary cores. It was legal, profitable, and absolutely devastating. The Xylothians had been given 30 days to evacuate before mining operations began. 2 million refugees had fled into space with nowhere to go. The council chamber fell silent as High Arbiter Vexlar entered. The Arbiter was a Krallix, his body composed of interlocking crystal segments that clicked softly as he moved. His voice, when he spoke, resonated through every translator in the room. "We convene today to address the Xylothian crisis. 2 million beings require immediate relocation. Standard protocol dictates we distribute them across multiple systems based on available resources and environmental compatibility." Rachel waited. There had to be more. The council did not call emergency sessions for standard procedures. Vexlar's crystals darkened slightly, a sign of discomfort among his species. However, the Xylothians present unique challenges. They are silicon-based life forms requiring specific atmospheric conditions. High carbon dioxide levels, moderate temperature ranges, and low gravity. Few worlds in council space meet these requirements without extensive terraforming. A Vormund delegate stood, her skin flashing orange with irritation. "We cannot afford to terraform entire worlds for refugees. The cost would be astronomical. Perhaps we should discuss alternative solutions." Rachel understood immediately what that meant. Alternative solutions was council speak for letting the problem solve itself. Letting 2 million beings die slowly in overcrowded ships while the council debated endlessly. She stood before she could stop herself. "Earth will take them." The chamber erupted. 40 species began talking at once. Vexlar's crystals flashed bright red, demanding silence. When order returned, he focused his multifaceted eyes on Rachel. "Commander Torres, surely you misspoke. Earth is a nitrogen-oxygen world. Completely incompatible with Xylothian biology. And your species has limited off-world colonies. You lack the infrastructure for such an undertaking." "We have Mars," Rachel said simply. "It already has high carbon dioxide levels and low gravity. We can modify the environment to meet Xylothian needs." A Setharii delegate chittered with amusement. "Mars is a frozen desert. Your own colonies there number barely 60,000. You propose to support 2 million refugees on a barren rock." "Yes." Vexlar leaned forward. "And how long would this preparation require? The Xylothians cannot remain in orbital ships indefinitely. Their life support systems are failing. Disease is spreading. We estimate they have perhaps 3 months before conditions become catastrophic." Rachel felt every eye in the chamber on her. She thought about the overcrowded ships, about families huddled together in corridors, about children who had never known a home. She thought about what her species could do when properly motivated. 25 days, she said. "Give us 25 days and Mars will be ready." The silence that followed was absolute. Then the chamber exploded with laughter. Not human laughter, but the varied sounds of 40 species expressing disbelief and mockery. The Vorman delegate was flashing bright purple with mirth. The Setharii were clicking their mandibles in rhythmic amusement. Only Vexlar remained still. His crystals had shifted to a thoughtful amber color. "You understand what you propose is impossible," he said quietly. "Even with advanced technology, preparing a planet for 2 million inhabitants would require years of work. You have no nanofabrication capabilities, no atmospheric processors on the necessary scale, no habitat construction systems capable of such rapid deployment." Rachel met his crystalline gaze steadily. "We have determination. We have ingenuity. And we have something your council has apparently forgotten. We have compassion." The laughter stopped. "Very well," Vexlar said after a long pause. "The Council accepts Earth's generous offer. You have 25 standard days to prepare Mars for Xylothian habitation. If you fail, the Xylothians will be distributed according to standard protocol." Which meant death, Rachel knew. Slow, bureaucratic death while the Council debated and delayed. She bowed formally. "We will not fail." The session ended. As Rachel left the chamber, James hurried alongside her. "Commander, with all respect, how are we going to do this? We don't have the technology Vexlar mentioned. We don't have nanofabricators or massive atmospheric processors or anything on the scale needed for this project." Rachel stopped walking and turned to face him. "James, do you know what the Council has never understood about humanity?" "What?" "They see our limitations. They see what we lack. But they have never seen what happens when 8 billion humans decide something needs to be done." She pulled out her communicator and began typing rapidly. "Get me a direct channel to the Secretary General. Then connect me to every major government on Earth. After that, contact the private sector. Space Tech, Lunar Industries, the Mars Development Corporation, everyone. And get me in touch with Dr. Sarah Chen at the Advanced Materials Research Institute." "What are you going to tell them?" Rachel smiled grimly. "I'm going to tell them we have 25 days to do the impossible. And then I'm going to show the galaxy what humanity is capable of." Within 2 hours, Rachel was broadcasting to Earth. 8 billion people watched as she stood in the communication center of the orbital station and explained the situation. "Today, the Galactic Council gave us a challenge," she said. 2 million refugees need our help. They need food, shelter, safety, and hope. The Council expects us to fail. They expect us to turn away or to watch helplessly as these people suffer." She paused, letting her words sink in across 100 nations. "They don't know us. They don't know what we can do when we work together. So here's what's going to happen. In 25 days, we're going to transform Mars. Not just into a survival camp, but into a home. A real home where the Xylothians can thrive and build new lives." She took a breath. "I'm calling on every engineer, every scientist, every builder, every doctor, every person who has ever wanted to make a difference. We need you. They need you. This is our moment to show the galaxy who humanity is." The broadcast ended. For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then the response began. The volunteer registration servers crashed within 10 minutes, overwhelmed by millions of applications. Governments activated emergency protocols. Corporations pledged resources and equipment. Universities opened their research databases. Military logistics divisions began coordinating the largest construction project in human history. On Mars, Governor David Jong stood in the command center of Olympus Colony, watching data streams pour in from Earth. His chief engineer, a woman named Dr. Lisa Morrison, stood beside him with wide eyes. "Governor, I'm seeing equipment launches from every major spaceport. Construction drones, habitat modules, atmospheric processors, fabrication units. Where is all this coming from?" "Stockpiles," Jong said. "We've been preparing for large-scale terraforming for decades. moving slowly because there was no rush. Now there's a rush. Morrison pulled up a manifest. Sir, this is enough material to triple our colony size. But even with all this equipment, building housing for 2 million beings in 25 days is impossible. Zhong turned to face her. Stop telling me it's impossible. Start telling me how we make it happen. In orbit around Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen floated in the zero-gravity laboratory where she had spent the last 5 years. She was a materials scientist, specializing in nanofabrication technology. Her research had been purely theoretical, deemed too expensive and risky for practical application. Her communicator chimed. Commander Torres appeared on the screen. Dr. Chen, I need your nanofabricators. All of them. And I need them working in Martian conditions within 72 hours. Sarah felt her heart race. Commander, my fabricators are experimental. They've never been tested on that scale. The risk of cascade failures is significant. Can they self-replicate and build structures using local materials? In theory, yes. But we've only run small-scale tests. Deploying them on a planetary surface could result in uncontrolled replication or system failures or... Dr. Chen, Rachel interrupted gently. 2 million people are going to die unless we try. I need your genius. The Xylothians need your genius. Will you help us? Sarah looked around her laboratory at the machine she had built, the years of research that no one had wanted to fund because it seemed too ambitious, too risky, too different. I'll need a transport to Mars immediately, she said. And a team of at least 50 technicians. And direct access to the Martian surface for deployment. Done. You launch in 6 hours. The news spread across the galaxy through council channels. Most species watched with amused skepticism. The humans had made a grand gesture, but reality would soon reassert itself. 25 days was not enough time. It had never been enough time. Aboard the refugee fleet, the Xylothians waited in silence. They had been waiting for months now, crowded into ships designed for short-term transport, not long-term habitation. Many had died already from illness and despair. A young Xylothian named Crix pressed his sensory nodes against a viewport, staring at the distant red planet below. His people were silicon-based, their bodies composed of complex crystalline structures that required specific conditions to survive. Earth's atmosphere would kill them in minutes. But this Mars place, perhaps it offered hope. His elder, a wise being named Thalox, moved beside him. Thalox had been a scientist before the mining corporation destroyed their world. Now he was simply another refugee, tired and broken. What do you see, young one? Thalox asked. Lights, Crix said. More lights than before. The humans are building something. Thalox looked at the planet with his advanced visual sensors. Indeed, new structures were appearing on the surface. Machines were moving. Energy signatures were spiking across multiple locations. They are trying, Thalox said softly. But I fear they do not understand what they have promised. Mars is cold and dead. Making it suitable for our people would require technology beyond what young species possess. Then we will die here, Crix said. It was not a question. Thalox had no answer. He simply placed a crystalline hand on the young one's shoulder and together they watched the distant planet where humans were attempting the impossible. Back on Mars, the first wave of nanofabricators deployed across the Hellas Basin. Dr. Chen stood in a pressurized observation dome, watching through cameras as billions of microscopic machines spread across the red soil like a silver tide. Initiating replication sequence, she said into her communicator. All units are responding normally. Beginning material extraction from local regolith. Governor Zhong watched from the command center. How long until we see results? The fabricators need 12 hours to reach optimal population density. Then they'll begin constructing the first habitat framework. If everything works according to projections, we should have a basic structure within 48 hours. And if it doesn't work? Dr. Chen was quiet for a moment. Then we just wasted 3 days we don't have. The fabricators worked through the Martian night, invisible to the naked eye but clearly visible on sensor arrays. They consumed iron from the soil, silicon from rocks, carbon from the thin atmosphere. They built copies of themselves. Those copies built more copies. Exponential growth in action. By morning, the first structures began to rise from the Martian surface. They started small, just frameworks of processed materials assembled with microscopic precision. But the fabricators did not stop. They built scaffolding. They constructed walls. They assembled environmental systems using components manufactured on-site from local materials. Governor Zhong stood at the observation window of Olympus Colony, watching the transformation begin. Where empty desert had existed yesterday, now strange silvery structures were taking shape. "It's working," Morrison breathed beside him. "It's actually working." "1 dome in 2 days, Zhong said. "We need hundreds. We need a city. Then we scale up. We have more fabricators arriving from Earth every hour. We deploy them across multiple sites. We build not 1 city but 10. 20 if necessary." Zhong pulled up the project timeline. 25 days. They had already used 3. 22 remained. "Deploy everything," he ordered. "Every fabricator, every construction drone, every resource we have. The galaxy is watching. Let's show them what humans can do." Across Mars, the transformation accelerated. More fabricators arrived. More construction zones activated. The machines worked with tireless efficiency, building structures that would house the Xylothians, creating environments that would keep them alive. But they needed more than just buildings. The Xylothians required specific atmospheric conditions. High carbon dioxide, which Mars had, but also precise temperature control and radiation shielding that the thin Martian atmosphere could not provide. Dr. Chen worked for 72 hours straight, designing atmospheric processors that could be manufactured by the fabricators themselves. The machines built the very tools needed to complete their mission. On day 7, the Galactic Council sent observers. A small ship arrived in Mars orbit, carrying representatives from 6 species. They expected to see struggling colonists trying to erect basic shelters. Instead, they witnessed an industrial revolution compressed into a single week. "How many construction units do they have deployed?" a Vormund observer asked. "Sensors indicate over 15 million fabrication units active across the surface," the ship's AI responded. "The number is increasing exponentially. This is impossible. We surveyed human technology extensively. They do not possess nanofabrication capabilities of this scale. Apparently, they do now." The observers watched in silence as domes rose from the Martian dust, as atmospheric processors came online, as a dead planet slowly came to life. In the refugee fleet, hope began to whisper through the crowded ships. Humans were sharing footage of the construction, showing what was being built. The Xylothians watched with cautious optimism. Crick studied the images on a shared screen. The domes looked sturdy, properly constructed. The atmospheric data suggested conditions that might actually support Xylothian life. But it seemed too good to be true. "They are really trying to help us," he said to Thalox. The old scientist examined the technical specifications that humans had made public. "They are doing more than trying. They are succeeding. This construction rate should not be possible for their technology level." "Then how?" Thalox's crystalline body shimmered with an emotion humans might have called wonder. "Perhaps we underestimated them. Perhaps the Council underestimated them. Perhaps the entire galaxy has been underestimating humanity." Days passed in a blur of construction and preparation. On Earth, billions of humans contributed in whatever ways they could. Some volunteered to travel to Mars. Others donated money for supplies. Students studied Xylothian culture and language. Artists created welcome messages in Xylothian visual formats. The entire planet mobilized around a single purpose, helping strangers in need. By day 14, the first complete habitat dome was ready. It spanned 10 square kilometers, its transparent ceiling revealing the Martian sky while maintaining perfect atmospheric conditions inside. Carbon dioxide levels were precisely calibrated. Temperature controls kept the environment at ideal ranges for silicon-based life. Radiation shielding protected against cosmic rays. Dr. Chen stood inside the completed dome with Governor Zhong. Around them, the interior was still bare, waiting for the Xylothians to make it their own. "We have 11 days left," Zhong said. "We need at least 50 more domes like this to house everyone comfortably." "The fabricators are ahead of schedule," Chen replied. "We'll have 60 domes complete by day 25. More if we push harder." "Then push harder." No one said the job was done until every single Xylothian has a proper home. The construction continued. More domes rose. More systems came online. The humans worked without rest, driven by a shared determination that amazed even themselves. And the galaxy watched, no longer laughing, now simply watching in stunned silence as a young species did what everyone had said was impossible. Commander Rachel Torres stood aboard the orbital station, monitoring progress reports from Mars. 25 days. She had promised them 25 days. With 11 days remaining, Mars was transforming from a dead world into something that might actually be called home. "Commander," James said quietly. "The Council is requesting an updated briefing. They want to know if we're going to meet the deadline." Rachel smiled. "Tell them to keep watching. The best is yet to come." Paradise rising. Morning on Mars arrived with golden light filtering through the thin atmosphere. It was day 16 of humanity's impossible promise, and the Hellas Basin no longer resembled the barren wasteland it had been 2 weeks ago. Governor David Zhong stood in the command center of Olympus Colony, surrounded by holographic displays showing construction progress across 40 different sites. "Status report," he ordered. Dr. Lisa Morrison pulled up the data. 23 habitat domes completed and sealed. Atmospheric systems tested and functioning at 98% efficiency. Another 31 domes are in various stages of construction. The fabricators are performing beyond projected capacity. What about the specialized facilities? Medical center is operational. 3 educational complexes are 80% complete. The central gathering space will be ready by day 20. We're also building recreational areas based on Xylothian cultural research. Zhong nodded slowly. When he had first heard Commander Torres's promise, he thought it was suicide. 25 days to prepare an entire planet? Insanity. But watching the numbers now, seeing structures rise from nothing, he began to believe they might actually succeed. "What's our biggest challenge at this point?" Morrison hesitated. "The atmospheric processors are working perfectly for carbon dioxide enrichment and temperature control. But there's one thing we didn't account for. The Xylothians have bioluminescent communication. They use light patterns to express emotion and intent. Our standard lighting systems don't support that." Zhong frowned. "Explain." Xylothian biology includes specialized crystalline structures that emit light in complex patterns. It's how they communicate nuance, emotion, artistic expression. Our lighting gives them visibility, but it doesn't let them express themselves. They'll be able to survive in our habitats, but they'll be essentially mute. "That's not acceptable," Zhong said immediately. "What do we need?" "Programmable photonic arrays integrated into every habitat. The technology exists, but manufacturing them on this scale in 9 days would require. Get Dr. Chen on the line. If we can build entire cities in 2 weeks, we can figure out lighting." Aboard the orbital research station, Dr. Sarah Chen was already working on her 4th solution to problems no one had anticipated. Her nanofabricators had exceeded every expectation, building faster and more efficiently than theoretical models suggested. But each success revealed new challenges. When Governor Zhong's request came through, she pulled her team into an emergency meeting. "We need photonic arrays that can respond to bioelectric signals from silicon-based life forms," she explained. Essentially, we need to give the habitats the ability to interact with Xylothian communication. A young engineer named Marcus raised his hand. What if we don't manufacture separate arrays? What if we program the fabricators to integrate photonic capabilities directly into the dome structures themselves? Chen considered this. You want to make the buildings themselves responsive to Xylothian light patterns. Why not? We're already building crystalline support structures. If we modify the fabrication parameters to include light-responsive elements, the entire habitat becomes a communication interface. It was brilliant. It was also completely untested. Do it, Chen ordered. We have 9 days. Make it work. In the refugee fleet orbiting Mars, the mood had shifted from despair to cautious hope. The Xylothians could see the construction now with their own visual sensors. The red planet below was transforming, sprouting domes like strange silver flowers across its dusty surface. Crick spent every waking moment at the viewports, watching the humans work. His elder Thalox often joined him, offering commentary on the technical achievements they were witnessing. That dome they finished yesterday, Thalox said, pointing to a large structure in the Hellas Basin. Do you see how it's designed? The curvature optimizes for pressure distribution while maintaining thermal efficiency. The humans are not just building quickly. They are building well. A human shuttle docked with their refugee ship. The Xylothians gathered nervously as the airlock opened. A woman emerged wearing a specialized environment suit. She carried a translator device and approached with careful, respectful movements. Hello, she said through the translator, which converted her words into light patterns the Xylothians could understand. My name is Dr. Amora Johnson. I'm a xenobiologist from Earth. I've come to learn more about your needs so we can make your new homes perfect for you. The Xylothians were silent, uncertain. They had received promises before. The Galactic Council had promised them safety. The Meridian Corporation had promised them fair compensation. All those promises had been lies. Thalox stepped forward. As an elder, it was his responsibility to speak for his people. Why should we trust you? He asked, his crystalline body flickering with skeptical patterns. Dr. Johnson did not flinch. You shouldn't. Not yet. Trust must be earned. But I hope you'll give us the chance to earn it. We've been studying your culture, your biology, your needs. We want to get everything right. But we need your help to do that. She pulled out a tablet showing designs for the habitat interiors. These are our current plans. Please tell us what we got wrong. Tell us what you need. This is your home we're building. You should have a voice in how it's made. Thalox examined the designs. His people gathered around, their light patterns dancing with surprise. The habitats included spaces for communal gathering, areas designed for their specific educational practices, even zones that mimicked the geological formations of their lost home world. You researched our culture, Thalox said softly. We researched everything we could find, Dr. Johnson confirmed. We talked to the few Xylothians living in other council systems. We studied historical databases. We even found artistic recordings from your home world before the mining began. We wanted to understand who you are, not just what you need to survive. A younger Xylothian named Sarah spoke up, her patterns tinged with hope. The gathering spaces. You included resonance chambers. Yes. We understand that Xylothians use harmonic resonance for meditation and art. We've designed chambers that should amplify your natural frequencies. Though we'll need your input to get the acoustics right. Crix felt something strange in his crystalline core. It took him a moment to identify the feeling. Hope. Real hope, not the desperate kind that sustained them through months of uncertainty, but genuine belief that things might actually improve. The lighting, Thalox said, pointing to specifications. Standard human lighting will not allow us to communicate properly. Dr. Johnson smiled. We know. Dr. Chen's team is working on that right now. By the time you arrive, every habitat will be able to respond to and enhance your bioluminescent communication. Your homes will understand you. The Xylothians looked at each other, their pattern swirling with emotions too complex for words. On Mars, the work intensified as the deadline approached. Day 19 arrived with 38 domes completed and another 20 under construction. Human workers and machines labored around the clock, driven by a shared determination. But it was not just about buildings anymore. In what would become the central district of the new Xylothian city, artists worked alongside engineers. A woman named Sofia Martinez led a team creating murals inside the completed domes. She had never been to Xyloth Prime, but she had studied images of the planet before its destruction. The Xylothians had crystal forests, she explained to her team. These formations that grew naturally from their planet's silicon-rich crust. They were considered sacred. The mining destroyed all of them. She stood back, looking at the mural she had painted. It showed a crystal forest under purple skies, a memory of a world that no longer existed. We can't bring back what they lost, Sophia said quietly. But we can show them we remember. We can show them their culture matters. Similar efforts were happening across all the habitats. Musicians composed welcoming songs using harmonic frequencies compatible with Xylothian hearing. Chefs worked with Xylothian dietary specialists to prepare foods using Mars-grown ingredients processed to meet silicon-based nutritional needs. Teachers prepared curricula that honored both human and Xylothian educational traditions. This was not just construction. It was an act of cultural preservation and respect. Day 21 brought unexpected visitors. A consortium ship arrived in Mars orbit carrying High Arbiter Vexlar himself. He requested an immediate meeting with Commander Torres and Governor Jong. The meeting took place in a conference room aboard the orbital station. Vexlar's crystalline body refracted the harsh station lighting into rainbow patterns as he settled into a specially designed chair. I must admit, Vexlar began, the Council did not expect your species to progress this far. We thought perhaps you would manage basic survival shelters. What you have built is considerably more. We made a promise, Rachel said simply. We keep our promises. Yes. The galaxy is beginning to understand that. Vexlar's crystal shifted to a thoughtful amber. I came to offer assistance. The Council has authorized additional resources if you need them. Jong and Rachel exchanged glances. That's very generous, Jong said carefully. What prompted this change? Public opinion, Vexlar admitted. Your species has been broadcasting footage of your construction efforts. Citizens across Council space have been watching. Many are asking why their own governments did not help the Xylothians. Some are asking uncomfortable questions about our priorities. Rachel understood. Humanity's actions had inadvertently shamed the entire Galactic Council. Good. We appreciate the offer, she said diplomatically. But we're on schedule to complete the project ourselves. However, there is something the Council could do. Name it. After the Xylothians are settled, they'll need representation in Council chambers. They'll need advocates to ensure the Meridian Corporation is held accountable for what happened to their world. Can the Council guarantee that? Vexlar was quiet for a long moment. The Meridian Corporation followed all legal protocols. What they did was technically lawful under Council trade regulations. Then maybe those regulations need to change, Rachel said firmly. 2 million people lost their home because corporations value profit over life. If the Council won't address that, then what exactly is the Council for? The High Arbiter's crystals flashed through several colors before settling on deep red. You speak boldly for such a young species. We speak honestly. The Xylothians deserve justice, not just charity. I will convey your concerns to the full Council. But I can promise nothing. Then we'll work with what we have, Jong said. We've gotten good at that. After Vexlar left, Rachel turned to Jong with a tired smile. Did we just lecture the head of the Galactic Council about morality? Yes. Yes, we did. Good. Someone needed to. Day 23 arrived with 56 completed habitats and perfect weather on Mars. A dust storm had been predicted, but atmospheric conditions remained calm, as if the planet itself wanted to cooperate with humanity's impossible timeline. Dr. Chen stood in the newest completed dome with Marcus and several other engineers. The photonic arrays were integrated into the structure itself, invisible until activated. She held a device that could simulate Xylothian bioelectric signals. Testing responsive lighting, she said, activating the device. The dome came alive. Light patterns rippled across walls and ceiling, responding to the simulated signals. The patterns were beautiful, complex, capable of expressing nuance that spoken language could never capture. It works, Marcus breathed. We actually made buildings that can talk. Chen felt tears in her eyes. Exhaustion and relief and something close to pride. They had done it. Against every expectation, they had actually done it. Send confirmation to Governor Zhong, she ordered. All habitats are ready for final inspection. The Xylothians can start landing as early as day 24. The news spread quickly. In the refugee fleet, preparations began immediately. The Xylothians organized themselves, gathering their few remaining possessions, saying farewell to the ships that had been their prison for so many months. Crix helped his elder Thalox pack. The old scientist had very little, just some data cores containing information from their lost world and a few personal items he had managed to save. Are you nervous? Crix asked. Terrified, Thalox admitted. What if the habitats do not work as promised? What if we cannot survive there? What if this is all an elaborate deception? The humans have not lied to us yet. No, Thalox agreed. They have not. That frightens me almost as much as the alternative. Why would any species work so hard for strangers? What do they gain? Crix had wondered the same thing. He had listened to the human broadcasts, watched their workers labor without rest, seen the care they put into every detail. He still did not fully understand their motivation. Perhaps, he said slowly, perhaps they gain the knowledge that they helped. Perhaps that is enough for them. Day 24 arrived, and the first transport shuttle descended through the Martian atmosphere. It carried 500 Xylothians, the advance group that would verify the habitats were truly safe before the full population landed. Governor Zhong stood at the primary landing pad with Dr. Chen, Dr. Johnson, and a small delegation of humans. They had prepared speeches, formal welcomes, diplomatic protocols. All of that evaporated when the shuttle doors opened. The Xylothians emerged slowly, cautiously. Their crystalline bodies caught the Martian sunlight, creating prisms of color. They looked around at the red landscape, at the glowing domes, at the humans waiting in respectful silence. Thalox was among the first to descend. He took several steps forward, his advanced sensors analyzing everything. The atmospheric composition, the temperature, the radiation levels. All within acceptable parameters. Better than acceptable. Optimal. Then he looked at the nearest habitat dome and saw the murals through its transparent walls. Saw crystal forests under purple skies. Saw memories of his lost world preserved by artists who had never known it. His light pattern shifted to deep blue, the color of profound emotion among his people. You remembered, he said through translators. You did not just build us shelters. You remembered our culture. Our history. Our home. Dr. Johnson stepped forward. We could not save your world. But we could honor its memory. Welcome to Mars. Welcome home. One by one, the Xylothians entered the habitats. They touched the walls and watched as the photonic arrays responded to them, reflecting their emotional patterns back in sympathetic resonance. They explored the gathering chambers and resonance spaces. They saw the careful attention to every detail of their needs and preferences. And they wept. Silicon-based tears that left crystalline traces on their faces. Day 25 arrived with sunrise over a transformed planet. Every single habitat was complete. Every system was functioning. 2 million refugees began their descent. The landing took all day, wave after wave of shuttles bringing families and individuals who had lost everything. They arrived expecting the bare minimum, prepared for hardship and struggle. Instead, they found paradise. In the central gathering space of Habitat Dome 1, a ceremony was held that evening. Humans and Xylothians gathered together for the first time as equals, as neighbors, as friends. Commander Rachel Torres stood before the assembled crowd, human and alien alike. She had not slept properly in 25 days. None of them had. But looking at the faces around her, both familiar and strange, she felt a profound sense of accomplishment. 25 days ago, she began, the Galactic Council gave us an impossible challenge. They expected us to fail. They expected us to turn away or to watch helplessly as people suffered. She paused, looking at the Xylothians whose light patterns danced with attention. They did not understand something fundamental about humanity. When we see people in need, we help. Not because we expect something in return. Not because it is easy. But because it is right. Thalok stood and approached the podium. His translator converted his light patterns into speech. My people have lost much. Our world is gone. Our history exists now only in memory and recordings. But today, we gained something we thought lost forever. We gained hope. We gained a home. And we gained neighbors who showed us that compassion exists in this galaxy. He turned to face the assembled Xylothians. Remember this. Remember what humanity did when no one else would help. Remember that we are not alone. And remember that we now have the responsibility to pay this kindness forward. The gathering erupted in sound and light. Humans cheered. Xylothians created cascades of bioluminescent patterns that painted the dome ceiling with living art. 6 months later, Mars had transformed beyond anyone's expectations. The Xylothian population had not just survived but thrived. New habitats were under construction, designed and built in partnership between human engineers and Xylothian architects. In Habitat Dome 12, Crix taught human children about Xylothian mathematics while learning Earth history from them in return. His grandmother's prediction had proven correct. The death songs had been replaced by songs of hope and renewal. The Meridian Corporation faced unprecedented pressure from citizens across council space. Several governments had opened investigations into their practices. New regulations protecting indigenous populations from corporate exploitation were being debated in council chambers. And Earth, the young species that everyone had dismissed as primitive and insignificant, now had the respect of the entire galaxy. Commander Rachel Torres stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, looking down at Mars. The planet glowed with life now, dozens of